Welcome to another episode 6 of the Joe Dorgan Show. I'm here with my friend Matt Rothblatt. How are you?
How's it going, Joe?
Been a long time since we've been in the same room.
Yeah, it's been over a year at least.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Glad things are lifting.
So,
getting back to DJing.
What's that?
You're getting back to DJing, getting out. Clubs are opening, the bars are opening up.
Yeah, I've been playing through COVID. Yeah, definitely. So Matt used to work at 101. He DJ'd at the original Club 101, and you're the co-creator of SpiralMind.
Yeah, that's our child right there. Me and Benito Perez.
Benito is.
You know him.
I think he got thrown out of 101 a couple times.
Yeah, a few times. But I
ran into him like, am I still banned? No, man. Just
he and I had different relationships with Club 101, but he told me a story about running into you at the casino one time and seeing an Ava Nagila at the end of the night or something.
Oh, yeah.
So, those are the kind of stories I love to hear because, he and I hung out at different places at different times. So, but then we started sharing our 101 stories with each other when we started working on SpiralMind. And of course, when we started this, the club downtown was still open. And we were always talking to you about, when we hit big, when the movie comes out, we're going to have our after party here at 101. So I don't know if you remember that. We were always bugging you about that.
Yeah, no, good times with him. I mean, yeah, we used to 2:30 in the morning play Havana.
Yeah, so and that's what's awesome about it. And matter of fact, after one of his marriages, he got married right here one time.
One of his marriages.
But no, he's settled down now.
He's on two.
I
don't know. Okay,
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Well, tell him I said hello. Yeah,
but I DJ'd that wedding, and then after that we were having so much fun. We came to 101. So from the Union building here, the train station building.
Yeah.
We came over and first thing we did was brought the wedding party to 101. So
yeah, good times.
A lot of good times there. So, but yeah, Benito and I have been working on this since 2003. But we can get into this later. I came here to talk about Club 101 and its impact on and how it kind of helped shape some of these creative tendencies that I have, that Benito has. Well,
you're a huge music fan. I mean, you went to some shows, and I know you played at 101, and you have a lot of friends.
Yeah, and so much so that I was talking to you a while back. We after this location, downtown location, the Mesa location, you were at the Velvet Rose. It was kind of like the new 101 spot.
Yeah,
and you and I would hang out afterwards, and I was talking about doing a book. I was like, we need to do a history of 101. And so you mentioned that one football player that you said it'd be cool to make an unauthorized biography or unauthorized history of 101. So it's got my mind going. You also told me about 24-hour Party People, that movie about the Manchester scene.
Oh, man.
And the Hacienda and New Order and Joy Division and all that. So
I think if I could have grown up anywhere, I would have loved to have been in Manchester, that scene. But no, I'm really proud of the scene that we had.
Yeah. And I could see how that influenced, but it was also happening in serial as the Hacienda was going on, 101 was going on. So it was kind of cool to know that around the world, Club 101 was part of that narrative of music, music.
Yeah, we were playing the bands when they were coming out. In fact, I remember some English bands were like, God, warehouse clubs are the coolest. And, they were talking about the English scene. But you mentioned the Velvet Rose. That was a place that was off Mesa in this
just to put it in perspective,
crack hotel.
It was like that. And it was the kind of place, it was in those old school happy hour bars / restaurants.
Yeah.
That, is the kind of place Coach Haskins hung out at, and it can be found for breakfast or for a nightcap any time of the day. And, and you kind of took it over, and the owner, Carlos, was real open to it and amicable to it. However, it was almost like you brought the nightlife to a happy hour scene. So it was kind of a weird transition.
It was like a karaoke thing, and he let me play. But I remember one afternoon I went to sound check, and I was setting up, and I turn up the music, and this guy's like, "Hey, keep it down." And I look over, like, it's Don Haskins playing pool with two women, and I'm like, "Sorry,
Sorry, coach.
Sorry, coach." Yeah.
It was one of the same thing happened to me. You would you had started a Freestyle Friday night, and then you were double booked with Caesar at Lucky Devils on the east side doing retro dark wave over there. So
you were holding it down.
You got me hooked into the Freestyle Fridays, and you got me some music, and I kept it going. And then one of those nights, Coach Haskins comes in. It was around the time that they were making Glory Road, the movie.
Yeah.
And he was with the writer. I can't remember his name. Wentz, the writer for the Glory Road book. He'd walked in the door, peeked in, and saw the lights and the disco ball and stuff. There's nobody in there. It was just my family was actually there hanging out. As soon as I saw him, I quickly went over there, turned on the lights. I was like, Coach, would you want to watch the game? Because there was a UTEP NMSU game or NMSU versus Hawaii or something going on that night for whatever reason. I don't know. Yeah. And put it on. He came in, had a few drinks. We toasted each other from afar, my group and his group. And then after he left, I flipped on the lights, whipped on the music.
Did you get a picture with him?
No, I didn't want to bother him. I was always nervous about
we don't have camera back then.
I didn't really want to bother him, especially when all that stuff was happening with the movie. I'm sure he's getting bombarded all the time. But I did have a story about him, and then we'll get to one-on-one stories. I was at UTEP, and he was still coaching at UTEP at the time in the 90s. And I had to go to the so I don't know, this kind of ties in with all this stuff. I was trying to start a radio station at UTEP. I had worked a little bit at the one at the community college, and it was like a closed circuit broadcast to all the
community college. Yeah.
And I was like, why doesn't UTEP have a radio station? And so I went into UTEP. I worked at KCOS at the time. And I was talking to everybody there. I said, hey, come, what's going on with it? They said, oh, there used to be a radio station here. It was called the Voice of America or whatever, back in the World War II or whatever. And so I was like, oh, maybe that stuff exists. So I started, researching, started an organization. As a matter of fact, Krista, who you've talked about on the shows before and going to have on the show, she was one of the first ones to show up to my meetings about starting a radio association. And my goal is just to play one-on-one music at UTEP, alternative music.
Is KTEP, right?
No, KTEP, I've learned from all that experience that KTEP was a National Public Radio station.
Yeah, okay. So this was
a whole separate one. It was direct, just for
underground.
In the old days, they used to play UTEP games to the dorms.
Yeah.
So it was during one of those times where let me tell you the Coach Haskins things into this. So I was going to the main building to go meet up with the president, or just because Natalicio had heard, Dr. Natalicio had one of the other members of my group. Mother worked for the administration, worked for Natalicio, so we got an in there. So we want to go talk to her and give her a T-shirt, College Radio Association.
Yeah,
had a microphone, old school microphone on it, and we want to just tell her what we're trying to do to see if she could help us out. And we went in there. She listened to us, and matter of fact, let me back it up a little. I was walking to the door to go in there, and I saw Coach Haskins walk into the front door, and I was like, oh, I froze, and I was like, oh, I don't want to have this weird, awkward moment where we both meet up at the door, and who's going to grab the door and help each other. So I pretended to tie my shoe, let him go ahead, and he walks his pace, and so I made sure I give enough time. By the time I look up and get to the door, he's holding the door open for me. And I was like, oh my, what a night. I was like, thank you, Coach. Appreciate it. Good game or whatever. I don't know what else I said.
I'm not worthy.
But I know it was one of those moments. And, I grew up worshiping
Legend.
him. Yeah. I was so afraid of him because, he used to throw the papers on the ground during the games. Bobby Knight didn't scare me seeing him play, but Coach Haskins,
the Bear,
seeing him in action. But I really respected him, and for him to hold the door open, that was one of the memories that I'll cherish.
So did you get the job or what? The radio station?
No, we got it going. So let me fast forward a little. Took a while, but we formed an organization. The Union Programs Office loved us. They let us even set up in their main entrance office. They even encouraged me to apply for an award that they give out to UTEP students called the Men of Minds Award. So I didn't know anything about that, but I put in for it just for the heck of it. I didn't think I was going to get anything, but I ended up winning that for my helping the university. Now my grades suffered a bit, and I had to take some classes over. But we ended up hooking up to the Conquistador Lounge speakers that existed there since the building was built. And first song we played, I think, was New Order, Bizarre Love Triangle. So I might have the tape of that somewhere, but it all ties to one-on-one because, all that I wouldn't have had that desire or drive to do that stuff or even think it was possible if I hadn't had that passion that I got from being around all the creative people.
And how long did that last?
I was there for a couple of years after I left. After I left, they ended up getting their own room, and
so you were like in the
founding stage.
Yeah, I mean the
Conquistador Lounge in front of the bookstore when it was in the
right.
when it was in the Union.
I remember that. Yeah.
So we were competing against the jukebox, which always played Nirvana and
so
whatever the '90s tunes from the '92, '91. Yeah, we got stuck in that situation trying to fight against the jukebox, but it was a great thing. But let me go back to how my passion for music like that started, and it goes back to when I was a senior in high school, 17 years old. My girlfriend at the time, let's call her Jane because her name was Jane.
Okay, and let's call her whatever you want.
No, so this is important. And she was a little older. She was at UTEP. I was a senior in high school. We met through her cousin, who I went to high school with. And
you're 17, she's 25.
And my musical taste was like Led Zeppelin and Rush.
Oh yeah.
KLAQ stuff. Right. And I liked Power 102, and I didn't tell anybody that I liked all the freestyle stuff until later. I was doing Freestyle Fridays, but no, I was limited to what was around me. I grew up with 5 brothers and sisters who had all different kind of musical tastes, but most of them were like pop 80s,
right? Whatever was on the radio.
My brother was in a Rush cover band, so that's what got me into Rush. My other brother was into my sisters were into like Loverboy and all those, the Romantics, and so I was getting influence everywhere. And so at the same time, they were working at bars around El Paso when they were young. They were working at This Is Texas, which was a popular bar owned by the Sassos couples, Sammy and Socorro.
Okay.
I mean, I've heard you talk about Sassos here, which is a big rock club that was in the Northeast.
Oh yeah.
That if you were a hair band in El Paso and you didn't play there, you weren't going anywhere. So you should get some Sassos folks. I'm sure Pissing Razors has some Sassos stories.
Oh yeah, I was an alternative kid. I mean, I walked in there and I'm like, but I liked rock. But
I kind of grew up as a kid in that, and my sisters would take me. Oh, I have to go pick up my check or something from where in the middle of the day. Little did I know they were doing a shift, and I was like 6 years old running around the dance floor they turn on the lights and the music.
Oh wow!
So I kind of grew up in that scene.
They were working at Sassos, and you were
Sassos and This Is Texas mostly. It was in the off of further down Dyer, but I spent a lot of time there as a kid because they would take me with them everywhere, and
that's cool.
They'd buy me a Star Wars toy, and then I'd go to the thing, and then I remember one night the cops came in and they had all the patrons hid me under them, under me. What
are we doing with this underage kid?
Yeah, so but so that kind of that led to my association with music played, or even live music and dance music and lights and all that. So that was just kind of backstory about me and when it came to the time of 101. So fast forward back to
the older woman.
Yeah, the older woman. Well, she was from the scene. And when I say the scene, she was friends with the folks who were part of the Lost Iguana, and what was I can't think of the one.
The Lost Iguana is the warehouse club that was before 101. So I'd say 85.
And what was
for those who don't know?
Mesa Inn. So she
was
part of the Mesa Inn crowd, and so she was alternative. I mean, when it comes
all
to
in
the
black,
music, she was the original Pilgrim. We call him. Had a different name for the OP, is Original Pilgrim, because Pilgrims were black. But anyway, that was that's before I got woke on alternative music. But anyway,
so you guys went to Club 101.
Went to 101. Well, I was 17. Remember
your first date, or this was just like friends?
We were friends. Or I mean, I got to preface that by another little story. She was friends with New Texicans because her friend was a girlfriend of Willie from the New Texicans.
Oh yeah,
and so I was suddenly being dragged around with the New Texicans, and they're probably like, "Whose little brother is this?" I was this preppy little high schoal kid, probably wearing Dockers. I don't remember what I was wearing at the time when I was.
And we let you in?
No. I almost did it, but so we went. They're the ones who first time took me to Chihuahua Charlie's in Juarez, which I was petrified to death. But that's where I heard The Cure and stuff played over the loudspeaker, and people getting excited and dancing. And then on this side of the border, we went to the Campus Queen Campus Queen by UTEP, which was another one of the
places that was a cool place on Mesa Street. Yeah,
it's on that corner there. And Freddie, I don't know his last name, but Freddie was
Jaime.
working the door, and he was talking to my girlfriend. I was a jealous guy back then. I was real jealous, and so
he was a huge flirt at the door.
Anybody talking to her, I was like mad. So so Freddie's talking. Hey, did you hear Joe's opening a place downtown, a warehouse? And so that was the first time I heard of what was to become 101
at the Campus Queen. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I was taking it all in, because I was starting to get into the music and everything. So we go in, I think Spindrift or one of these other bands, Eric Singer's bands.
Yeah.
So I was getting introduced to local music at the same time. So fast forward to whenever it was, I think it was after 101 had opened. It must have been in January, February of 91 this time, or 90.
90,
I graduated in 90. And we go to the door, and it was me, her, and another friend of ours from high school. And he was a party clubber in high school, so he had no problem. And he was gay, so he had no issues, navigating doormen or owners and like yourself. So when we come out here's me.
I stayed away from the door.
Probably like this, skinnier, with my shirt tucked in, no hat, trying to be cool. And we were trying to get in. It was 21 and over, or 18 and over at least. And so you come out and you start talking to Jane, and she's explaining to you. And I didn't drink at this time, so I was like straight edge or whatever. I didn't even know what that meant, but I wasn't drinking and wasn't breaking the law. And so I was not worried about how I'd be in there. And plus, like I said, I've been in bars all my life.
Yeah.
With my sisters, so I didn't think it was a big deal. But you're out there. You were a little buzzed, and you started telling. You're in a good mood, but your line of questioning started coming out. You're like, "Hey, weren't you dating that guy?" She's like, "Hey, can my boyfriend come in? He's going to be 18 this month," and it was my month birthday. So, and he doesn't drink, and then you're like, "Well, yeah, that's what everybody says." And then
what an asshole I was, man. I'm sorry.
And then I was looking, man, who's this John Tesh looking Frankenstein guy dictating everything and hitting on my girlfriend? So I was like, man, I hated you for a moment. And so
don't sugarcoat it. Yeah,
this is the chapter 1 of the 101 Stories book. And no, I was just jealous. I was like, this guy, he's bringing up her.
Who the hell is this?
And then you go, weren't you dating that guy from Soldier Blue and blah, blah, blah. And that just fired up more things. And then I was about to say, screw this, man. Screw this guy. Let's go.
Punch that guy, man.
And no, you're huge. And remember I was 17. I didn't know anything. I knew Led Zeppelin and Rush. That was about it. So, so you next thing you know, you're letting us in. And so all that stuff kind of washed away as soon as I walked in through that first little entrance where Chris worked, and then into the main thing. And a DJ booth was right above that entrance. And, that's where my life changed. I was like, I don't even remember hanging out with her the rest of the night. I just remember listening to the music. Some of it I recognized, some of it I didn't. And Caesar was DJing, and I didn't know him at the time, and he did a little.
I'm glad you let that all go, because I'm like, man, I'm sorry.
No, I love it. It's because it's a great origin.
Because we've been friends for a long time.
Oh yeah, and it was a couple of years before I had the courage to even talk to you, but I kind of worked my way through Caesar because of DJing. Yeah. But yeah, I got some funny stuff about me and Joe swapping DJ gigs in a few minutes here. But Caesar had said, "Oh, there's a contest if you can name this song," and it was Just Like Heaven by The Cure or something. And I knew it, and I was like, man, I'm in this scene. Yeah. I'm part of this scene now. So I remember the paintings that later to find out they're by Sam Turner, who's still kicking out awesome art.
So I mean, like, I think a lot of people in El Paso, they were influenced by what they heard on the radio. And then, like, for me, I was in California and I heard K-Rock, and then, man, just the Cure, Depeche Mode, all this stuff. I just switched. I still like the rock stuff. Was that like you? You just like, wow.
Yeah, no, I'm my musical taste is very eclectic.
Still a fan of Rush.
Like in the 90s, later in the 90s, I got into Latin rock with all the Heroes de Silencio, Moenia, all those bands, and then I was like, wow, they're just playing right there in Juarez sometimes too. Like, but during the early 90s and late 80s, I was totally in the retro.
When did you get into DJing?
That started a friend of mine, David Thurman. He and I can't remember exactly what happened, but it was while I was going to 101 and getting in, loving the music and stuff. And I'd buy all CDs from the headstand that I could find. Um, and then I guess we started DJing at little house parties at our friends,
Yeah.
with his dad. David's dad had like a little Radio Shack mixer that he picked up somewhere, and we hooked it up to some other equipment, home stereo equipment at my friend Wally's house. And this is how nerdy we were. His parents would tell us that we would kind of volunteer their home for us to have a party, and they'd stay in there. They just stay locked in the room. They said, "Yeah, knock yourself out." So because we wouldn't do anything. I mean, we were, half of us weren't 21 yet at the time, and some of us were, but so we did it the 101 style. We made flyers, we stamped people at the door, we did all this stuff. So we used to call them dog bashes. I don't know where that.
So
we had a dog logo.
So
Dog
back in the
print
day,
logo.
there was a club that we were really concerned about. It was called The Realm.
Oh.
It was they had these billboards, Experience New York and El Paso. It was like oh my gosh, we're gonna have some serious competition. We were never really worried about this club. And then you played in the basement. To me, you were the coolest part of that realm. It was called the Inferno Room,
Yeah.
and I went a couple times, and you were knocking it out. I mean, you were playing great stuff.
Yeah, that was another crazy story.
Upstairs, I don't know if it was top 40 or whatever.
Yeah, it was like New York dance music.
But you downstairs holding it down, like alternative and
that was
remixes.
That was like a lucky break, and of course everything was influenced by what I learned at 101, and then of course what I picked up along the way with, we threw in other things. We played Latin rock down there, Latin dance. We kind of mixed in the Juarez sound and the 101 sound, and even 101 did a lot of disco. We threw disco in there a lot.
That was a cool,
Yeah, it was an awesome place. And I remember one time, we had the floor going. It was crowded. It was a new place, so everybody went to a new spot, and I knew I made it. First of all, when I came in, and the main club was open, but downstairs wasn't open yet, the Inferno Room, and there was a line waiting to get into downstairs.
Yeah,
like, oh man, that's awesome. And it was me and another guy, DJ Chase, and another friend of mine who did the that I met later on, became friends with, that did the lights. So it was like a team, and his name is Art, and he was in a Star Wars too. We got the lightsabers and stuff, and have lightsaber battles.
I don't remember those.
Yeah, we didn't do that when you were around. we were too cool. But so there's a line there, and then one time we were DJing, and the News was there that night. I remember, because it was the hottest new club in town.
Yeah.
And so the News was doing an interview. I wish I could find that News clip. If anybody has it, send it.
That was like the Titanic coming to downtown El Paso, and they had lines to get into that club, but they had the fashion police, so they weren't letting people in. So 101 had more business than we knew what to do. And I'm like, hey, come on in. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and there's
so yeah,
it was like
it's all good.
Burned hot too fast. But the one day that I was DJing and they were doing our interview, it was going good, and the crowd was pumping, and we figured out how to rotate the dance floor and everything.
Yeah,
and me and the other DJ Chase would swap out, and but I was DJing at the time, and you, Eddie, and some other people were making the rounds. And I remember you looking up, doing a double take at the DJ booth. And I was like, yeah, that's right. That's right, Joe. I don't think we were friends yet.
I do the Jack Shirazi impression.
There you go.
Motherfucker. I can't believe you're playing here. No, I'm kidding.
So you did give me that look, and I was kind of a little scared, but at the same time, I was like, hey, you taught me well.
But, competition just, okay, we've got this serious club down here, so we got to get after it.
Yeah. So
but we've stayed in touch DJing, I mean, you've played reunions, weddings, like to me, because people were like, oh, wow, you played 101. Well, that was a specialized type of music. It was, to me, I thought it was easy to play, alternative, retro, or, disco. But, man, weddings, man. When I played, I would hang out with you. I'm like, you have to play for 70-year-olds to little kids.
And cumbias. But so at one point, you started coming. We invited you to come with. Well, you'd got me some gigs. First of all, people wanted 101 at their reunion. People wanted 101 at whatever.
Yeah.
At their, and so you're like, I don't have a mobile DJ, but I know a guy who does. And so you would refer me.
We had a blast.
And so I was like Mobile 101 for a while, and that's a good name too. I'll see if it exists. But I was called Deja Vu DJ and MC Services, which still exists. But that kind of started at that house party, but we built it up after a while doing quinceañeras and weddings, and we didn't have any of the music. We started meeting other DJs in town, mobile DJs like El Paso Party Discotheque.
Yeah.
Ivan the Terrible later on. I mean, he's not Ivan the Terrible anymore. It's just Ivan Productions and Events. He's awesome. He hired me to just do retro one time. But yeah, you got us an Holloman Air Force Base reunion. And that's, matter of fact, that's one of the first ones that when my wife was visiting, before she was my wife, Maria, she went with us. Me and this, by then, Wally was my DJ partner. David had retired from the DJ scene because he's tired of getting paid in beer.
Oh yeah.
Wedding cake. So, but yeah, he helped build that up, and then we both got out of it. And then Wally wanted to get into it, and so we started it up again. And so Wally, myself, and my future wife went to go DJ, and that was the first time it felt like I was finally DJing since the Realm and 101 DJing 101 type music and getting paid for it. So it was awesome. And
those were fun parties to play at. Yeah.
And then one time, you came with us to a weird one where we had an Elvis Impersonator, and Bud Sanders, local Elvis Impersonator, great guy, saved us that night because he played for a long time. But the crowd that we had, they wanted a lot of like waltzes, Tennessee waltz, and this and that. And so I'm
out of here. I think I left. I went out the back door.
We had dinner. We already sat at this little table having dinner and playing background music, but they wanted to start dancing, and they were the waltz kind of crowd, and we're like, oh man, we weren't prepared for that. And then another time, you were doing the Velvet Rose Saturdays, and you had an offer to do a Coronado high school reunion.
Yeah. They were like, 101 music, 101. I was like,
and they wanted you. There's no substitute. So you're like, hey, Matt, can we swap nights, and I can borrow your equipment, and you can do the Velvet Rose? And I was petrified. I was like, what if they ask for you? No, I'll just tell them I went to my truck to get some music or equipment or something. I was like, all right. So I was prepared because I had taken notes watching you DJ there and watching what kept it going. Because, there's times where I couldn't get a dance floor going and try to, what is the key? What is Joe's key? And his thing, just play the best music. Only the hits was your
step on the gas. Yeah.
So I would always hold out to play New Order later in the night, but you're like, play it now, play it later. It doesn't matter. They'll like it. Yeah. So they'll dance both times. So took that to heart. Anyway, you came to my house to get the stuff, and I said, okay, Joe, pay attention here. Here's a list of all these country songs. Here's a CD that has these country songs on it. Here's a CD that has cumbia mix on it. And thank God for Match from One World Style here downtown. I don't think he knows that I had a copy of his through another DJ friend of ours who had given me that cumbia mix. It's like a half-hour pre-mix cumbia CD. And you're like, okay, country, this, cumbias, all right. And you're thinking, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, this is my people. All they want to do is hear the Cure and the Smiths all night. And we met. It's
always the two people that organize the party. They're like, we love 101. Okay, great. But there's people who like every other music. Yeah. And I'm like, come up for cumbia. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah, we met up later that night, and he's oh, man, what did you say?
Don't tell anyone I played cumbias, man. Just lost my street
cred.
No,
but you saved the party. You kept it going.
Yeah, I think I was calling you while I was DJing. Hey, what do I play next? Yeah.
What country song?
But yeah, you could play it all, man. I'm just like,
no, it was fun. It was cool to see you get into the mobile DJ scene and do that. And
a couple times. That's
my goal was always like, man, I want to get to the point where I'm using the mobile system just to play like mobile 101 stuff.
Yeah.
That's still on the table. So. But I still use CDs. I'm trying to get digital. You're kind of doing it. You're doing it with the videos already. So you just need to go mobile, give me a call.
Yeah. So what was your favorite shows at Club 101?
I got to go to my notes for this one because there was just so many. Well, let me tell you about the one I missed because I still kick myself for this. So after that first night with Jane at 101, and I didn't really get to go there a lot. And then I went away to college. I went to Boston University. Yeah. Right before I was going to start going to shows. Like I was old enough, 18 to get in legally and go see shows. And Dred Zeppelin was coming. And I was like, I had their CDs from the headstand. I was like, if you don't know Dred Zeppelin, Google it. They're reggae, Elvis, Led Zeppelin mix. And they're awesome.
Hilarious. Yeah.
And check them out. But that's one show I regret missing. Of course, I think Modern English played right after that. And, that later became one of the songs for my wife and I. I Melt With You, because I sang it to her answering machine one time. I think that's why I won it over.
Man.
And I said, let me hear the recording of that. Oh, she deleted it, but she doesn't hang on to stuff. She just keeps it in her memory. But
she puts up with so much from you.
She's got too much in her data bank to deal with me. So, so it was the 9 Inch Nails show. It is probably the biggest talked about show in El Paso history here when they came to 101.
And you missed
Here's
it?
my side of the story. I was back in town from college. Let me back up. When I was in college at Boston, I had won tickets to see 9 Inch Nails from our local radio station. It was in our dorm. And I was so excited, but you had to be 18 or you had to be 21 to get in that club.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a club on Lansdowne Street, which was where all the clubs and bars were. And they had a similar.
You didn't have a happy fake ID.
No, I was going to talk to my, this is how babyface I looked back then. I was about to use my RA's ID, who was a woman, but she had short brown hair. And I was this close to doing, and I wish I did. I mean, she might have gone for it, but I didn't want to get her in trouble. And anyway, I ended up turning that in for some Mother Love Bone CDs and Soundgarden stuff, which was cool. But
you didn't have your older brother's ID? Because I know my brother used my ID one time.
I didn't look at all like my brothers back then. I looked more like girls back then.
So you didn't get into that show, and you didn't go to the El Paso show.
So the El Paso, fast forward to that summer, I was doing work in the yard, mowing lawn in the backyard of my parents' house, and doing all the sweaty, nasty work, picking up dog poop, all that stuff. And
thanks for sharing that with us.
I just had to set the stage and paint the picture.
Yeah,
so I needed to take a shower, and it was like the sun was still out. It was like 6 p.m. and I go in and I'm getting ready, had the shower going. I was flipping through the newspaper, the El Tiempo, see what was happening that weekend, see if there's something to do later that night. And I see right there in the thing, Club 101, 9 Inch Nails, real big, 9 Inch Nails, $5, only $5. And I looked at the time. It said 7 o'clock. I looked at my watch. It was like 5:45 or 6 something. I was like, I just knew. I didn't even bother. I didn't even try. I just had to sit there and stew with it that whole evening, because I didn't even try to go downtown, because I knew if I went there, I wouldn't get in, and I'd just be more mad. So
9 Inch Nails, they wanted to play 101. It was the warm up for the very first Lollapalooza. Yes. They were supposed to play like 2 years before for $17, but he got sick and so couldn't play. So this was a warm up, and I almost passed on the show, but that was the most famous talked about show. And if you'd shown up, I probably would have put you to work, because
I would.
I had to.
I wish I had. And that later that night, I was watching late night TV, all depressed, knowing the concert was still going on.
Yeah,
and it was the show A Current Affair was on, and they're showing alternative. Are we looking at a death snuff video here? Because there was like some black and white video thing they're showing with some music on it, and it turned out to be a 9 Inch Nails video that they had recorded. Tied a
had like a hole.
Yeah, it had like, I think it was one of their early ones. Of course, they tied a video camera to a balloon, and they lost it. And so some farmer had found it, and they thought it was some sort of death cult video or snuff film or whatever. But it's just more jab in the knife.
So, what was one of your favorite shows that you did see?
Oh, The Hunger has to be one of my favorite ones, because that was the first one I was inadvertently stuck in a slam dance pit.
Yeah.
My friend and I got there early. I'd listened to The Hunger on, at 101 and on Stepping Out all the time. So they were one of my favorite bands, or still are, industrial alternative. And so I planned ahead. I bought the tickets ahead of time, got there early. Me and my friend were at the front of the stage, and they did a cover of Feel Like Making Love, which I loved.
Oh, that's a great version. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they started out with that. They just drove it, and then.
So did you see a lot of shows when you were in college?
When I was in Boston?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually saw Sonic Youth in a place called Man Rays. It was kind of this alternative club that had awesome bands. I don't know if So
you went away for 4 years?
No, I was actually gone a year and a half.
Because it was funny, during the holidays, I loved it and I hated it, but a lot of people would go away and they would come into Club 101 saying, you probably don't have this song. So Caesar and I I'm like, Caesar, we have every song. I don't care what they tell us. Hey, you have this song? I'm like, yeah, we have it. We played it, but if we didn't, we would go find it. But it helped us. People that
coming back.
Yeah. like sometimes we couldn't keep up with every song, but a lot of people told us about songs when they came back from spring break or
another concert that I was really another band that I really love seeing. Well, matter of fact, let me just on the Hunger concert. That was the first night like I met or heard of Buzz Adams.
Yeah,
he was new in town. He was a late night KLAQ DJ. He was there with Tracy Arms.
Oh wow!
So JJ Arms' daughter, who was a friend, my friend who I was with, his sister's best friend. So we were introduced to Buzz Adams that night. Wow. It was the first slam dance. We were at the front thing, then slam dancing started, and we got kind of pushed out, and they were like, "Man, screw that, we're getting back in." So we had fun.
Buzz Adams and you guys were slam dancing?
No, he wasn't slam dancing. He was too cool for that. But we kept coming back to the bar to hang out with them, and then we see this other girl start stage diving, and we're like, "Hey, that's your little sister." It was his little sister. She was in high school stage diving, so it was a crazy night.
I stage dive on one of those Hunger shows.
It's probably that one, and
I'm grateful somebody caught me. But yeah, I know Madison, this big, huge boxer bouncer, he jumped out and
fell flat.
Nobody, because he was a big guy,
Nobody tried. Yeah, I think I drew blood that night. So, but that's one of my favorite, the Hunger, and they're back again. So you might have them on this show. I hope.
Yeah, we're hoping to get them on the show, and they've been doing a lot of recording during COVID, so that's cool.
Matter of fact, when the idea of the books we started talking about, I reached out to them, and they were all for it, and contributing stories and maybe music even at one point. So, yeah, we'll get to that. But let's see, I've got another show. Oh yeah, Consolidated was one of my other favorite shows to go to when they'd come to. They're a band out there, kind of electronic, kind of semi-political band out of San Francisco. And they had some good tunes, and they would get kind of political on stage. And one time I was just with my friend, I won't name, well, let's just call her Christelle. And we were watching this. I was like, "Oh, you got to see this band." And so maybe we should hide her name. Not really. No,
it's up to
you.
They're
not listening to this.
You can change the name to protect the innocent.
Crystal. But anyway, they go out, they're talking about, "Oh, we gotta treat this people better. We gotta do this." And in the middle of the show, they'll stop and do these political things, which were great. I mean, they got everybody, but we were a little tipsy. And Crystal got them, they passed the mic to the audience and like, "Yeah, we need to save the whales. Yeah, we need to do this or save the forest and rainforest." And then she's all, he had said something about morals. She's like, "F morals, kick up the jams." And I was hoping to God that would make it onto their next CD, because they would put that stuff in the middle of their CDs. So, but anyway, that was a great story. And I told her I'd embarrass her one of these days in the book or.
Consolidated. Okay, so there's this guy, and I would love to find out where he's at. Adam Sherburne. So he's the lead singer of Consolidated, but he had a band before that called Until December. Great band that played Las Tiguana, and then they turned into I don't think he talks about Until December. I don't know where he's at.
Was he from Las Cruces?
He's from Las Cruces. There, right? Cool guy, and so then when he Consolidated, we had played 2 or 3 times. I would love to know where he's at, what he's doing.
He's probably in politics somewhere.
Probably in San Francisco somewhere, yeah.
Kind of like, going back, I was in Boston. I saw somebody wearing a Consolidated shirt. I got so excited because, I had that connection with them here, being at their shows and loving their music and kind of like discovering them on my own.
What a cool show.
101. So, yeah, that was another good show. I got a couple other ones here. The Information Society was another great show. And then later years of the 101 downtown, they came out with their spotlights. I was with Benito's brother, my other nephew, Carlos. We'd go to as many shows as we could. And they came out in the audience with spotlights and big, huge spotlights. And then I think Carlos ended up catching one of their towels, and we're, "Oh man, we got to frame that." So
good times.
All kinds of.
And then, so 101, there was 3 locations. There was the Airway location. Yeah. You were a big Rush fan, so you brought the Rush tribute.
Yes, so that was fun. Back around. Yeah, my Rush roots came back around. We had done it once before, and this goes around the time when Rush was touring a lot. I mean, before Neil Peart died, but I had seen them in Albuquerque with my other friend Larry, another huge Rush fan, and I was just watching them, going, "Man, these guys should be in the Hall of Fame." So Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I need to reach out. And back to Boston days, I had met Donna Halper, who was a professor at Emerson University down the road from Boston University, and she was doing a speaking engagement. She was one of the pioneer women in radio in the 70s, and she's the one who discovered Rush or played Rush on American stations for the first time. There's a very famous story of her playing Working Man in Cleveland, of all places, where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I'm glad I saw Rush, the original Rush, twice.
Yeah, it was.
I took my son the last one, so because you're real close with your son,
Yes.
so you guys go see shows.
He unfortunately he didn't get to go see Rush. He was a little too young to go on those trips. But the last concert we did see before COVID together was Kiss, and I'll always be glad that he got to experience it, because this is my first time seeing Kiss. And
that was your first time?
Yeah, it's my first time ever.
Wow.
And out of all the opportunities I've had in New Mexico State to see them or anywhere else, I
should have gone to that show. I saw Kiss at the Coliseum, and somebody threw a bottle at Gene Simmons, and he had those shoes, and he was coming off the stage. Oh my God, I was like,
worried he was going to fall.
So tell us about your.
All right,
because you have so many stories, but I want to talk about your SpiralMind.
Okay, so this is SpiralMind. He's our character, who Benito and I created about 2003. There we go. That's
okay. Go ahead.
It looks good on you.
We don't have to wear these anymore.
You can wear it on your eyes. Anyway, hey, so we have a logo slogan. Always be pitching SpiralMind. #ABPS. So you'll see it on Facebook and Instagram.
Always be closing.
Every time.
Always be pushing.
Always be closing. That's what it's.
Yeah.
We got that from. Always be closing. Always be pitching SpiralMind. So even during COVID, I was getting some prototypes made.
I got to get one of these.
This to print is too expensive for more than one. So the guy who made this, I got to tell you a story about that guy.
Can I get one of these?
I'll try to get you one. There's only two in existence right now. One is in the director, Mike Mendez. I don't know if you know Mike Mendez. He did Big Ass Spider.
This is something our producer Ace would probably wear.
Oh yeah,
he has one of these.
Yeah, let's get him wearing this. I should have had him wearing it right now. But so the guy who makes wrestling masks for all the luchadors in the area, for most, even some of the big names. I met him at Fox Plaza, and he made me a couple of these.
Wow.
And we tried to get some kid ones made to sell at Comic-Cons and stuff. So, but this one exactly like this was in the movie La Valantula, and worn by my friend Frank Powers.
This was in a movie?
Not this exact one, but its sister. And there was two duplicates made.
I have to watch that movie.
And yeah, there's a close up of the Hollywood superheroes, the weird cracked out looking Spider-Man and the Hulk guy painted with real paint, those kind of people on Hollywood Boulevard. So that was the premise of some of those scenes, that there was a SpiralMind guy out there. And he was also an extra in a film.
What movie was that?
La Valantula. It was a Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh, shit. Do you have a copy of that?
Gutenberg. Yeah, no, you could probably find it on. Yeah.
So how long have you been doing?
Started about 2002, 2003. And it was basically my nephew Benito coming up with this idea of a suave James Bond type of character wearing a tuxedo who fought monsters. And his story goes back further, when he used to watch the old Universal Monsters down here downtown at the Plaza Theater.
Oh yeah.
And he said, how come Superman's not coming to fight these monsters? How come the monsters are able to go free and fight these and beat up these people? So he always wanted Superman to come save the day. So fast forward to when he's
how'd the name SpiralMind?
Well, that's the weird thing. He had that in his head back then when he was a kid. And so when he thought about maybe a comic book, came at a point where he came from UTEP. He was studying for electrical engineering at the time. He had already gone in the Army, already had nice jobs at the phone company. And so he went back to school, GI Bill, doing electrical engineering. Thought he did bad on the test. I think he bombed it, admittedly. Then he went to the comic book store to make himself feel better, get the Batman fix. From All Star Comics over there. And he was in line, and Brad, the owner, was talking to some kid who was talking about making a comic. And then he gets this bright idea, I'm going to make a comic book. And so on the other side of town, I'm at home. I think it was my day off, or I hadn't started working at White Sands yet, missile range. I might have been unemployed still, but I was taking care of my son, Max, who's now 18. He was in the crib at the time. So I had my day schedule worked out. I had to watch a dating story, a wedding story, and whatever other one went in that on TLC. That was my day, when I was at home.
That's too much information.
I gotta show you. I gotta show you our backstory when this thing blows up. We can, how we were slumming it, and I was making Campbell's soup in the thing while my son was asleep. That was my free time. My wife was working, and so I get a call. He's like, "Hey, Matt. Hey, Uncle Matt. We're gonna do a comic book." I was like, "What?" And normally when he comes up with a story like that, last time he did, he wanted to do a boy band, like.
He was a really energetic, cool guy.
But I never bit on any of his ideas, and I wish I had going back years, because he said, "Man, these guys can do the right stuff. We can New Kids on the Block. We can, him and his cousins, his brother and me. We can do. You can play this. You can do that." I said, "I can't play an instrument." So he was always creative.
Now you guys could be doing Geico commercials, showing up at the door as a boy band.
Yeah, that's what he still beats me up for that, but. Anyway, he said, "Yeah, we're going to start a comic book." And normally I would, like I said, I say, let's go. Yeah, cool. Let's go hang out, have a beer, and, just laugh it off. But for some reason, I was like, okay, I'm listening. He started telling me this story about a rabbi performing exorcisms, a corruption all the way up to the Vatican, some sort of cabal, some sort of all this, the Illuminati and all this stuff. And I was like immediately intrigued.
All right. We'll do a comic book.
I just seen that movie Pi, Aronofsky. I don't forget his first name.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And I immediately thought of those rabbis surrounding that dude, going after the number in his head, and he had already said the name SpiralMind, and I was like, spiral, like phi, like the golden ratio, and all this stuff was going through my mind. I was like, yeah, send me what you have, and he'd written some, like, basically the first issue in a narrative form. But at that time, I didn't know how to do comic. I didn't even know an artist. And then I read his stuff, and I was like, man, you should write this into a book.
And how many of these do you have out? Or
we've got 9 issues out now. Yeah. So this is the first one, Rabbi's Lament, and this is one that started out as Benito's narrative, and we turned it into a comic book. We finally found an artist. I did end up knowing an artist at White Sands who helped us get started.
Why isn't that in plastic? And because it's like mint condition,
this was a promo item. See, it's bent right there. So
oh my gosh,
I'm just kidding.
So I mean,
so that's where he came from. This is Brian Robinson. We met him, in the advent of with the internet and being able to print on demand and being able to meet artists online.
Yeah,
became crucial for us, our success, to get something out of the gate. So we met Brian, and he took the script and just made a full comic book out of it. And of course, we're like, oh, we got to make it look like Spawn or Batman or anything. So we've worked with different artists. We love every style that we work with. So here's Chris Sheehan, a local artist. I think he moved to Austin recently, and he's been doing work with a lot of independents. Even did the cover here. Usually we have a different artist do the cover.
Because people always ask me, like, hey, where'd you come up with the name 101? And there's Highway 101, or was it the Depeche Mode album? 101. So to me, SpiralMind, I'm thinking, is it downward spiral from Nine Inch Nails?
No, but it definitely,
you can tell that story, right?
Yeah,
depending on who you're talking to.
If we want Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross to do the soundtrack for our movie, we're definitely going to have to tell them it was inspired by Downward Spiral. But no, definitely. Nine Inch Nails is a big influence. And of course, other creators like James O'Barr, who we've become friends with over the years through Comic-Cons.
You met a lot of people through the Comic-Cons, yeah.
So we loved, the movie The Crow with the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of, that's a big influence on me. Benito comes with
Isn't that
Batman?
Every girl's,
Oh yeah, he's
the Crow guy who got away. He died. That was my boyfriend.
I even dressed as the Crow one Halloween on a last minute attempt to do a costume. I was just painted black mascara on my. I didn't have a beard or anything.
I think one year when Halloween there was like 12 crows.
Yeah,
because whatever the hot.
Yeah, no, and
a very cool movie.
Yeah, no, and it was I was blown when I first met him at a Comic-Con. I was like,
you met?
Yeah, we were friends. I like to consider ourselves friends.
Yeah.
I mean, if we got him to come to El Paso Comic-Con, so we hooked him up with the director of the Comic-Con at the time. It was Julian Lawler at the time. Now it's the folks who own Zia Comics in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So, but Julian,
that's becoming a big deal.
Oh yeah, they're chomping at the bit to get it going again, and it's going to be. It's still growing here in El Paso.
And you said some of this is local artists.
Yeah, this
El Paso artists, right?
One of the first posters we had done. This was going to be a cover for a graphic novel that we had been working on years ago. We're re-looking at the graphic novel. It kind of it's tame in comparison to what we've been doing lately. So we might have to reintroduce it. But Jaime Carrillo did this artwork for us, commissioned that one, and that's SpiralMind taking on Lucifer, and but Jaime has done covers for metal bands. He's been heavy metal magazine covers. He's just all over the place, and he's a great guy. He and his sister have a comic book company too, and he and his wife go all over the place, Comic-Con as well.
Speaking of wife, I want to shout out to your wife because I saw her at lunch the other day, and she was busy and I'm busy, but she puts up with all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, she, and you're a big Star Wars fan. You collect, and you guys have been married like
20 years this year. Yeah, in July. 20
That's
years.
cool.
Yeah, so she puts up with me, and she's very creative in her own right. I
thought Ace was a big kid, but you, man, you're
no, I'm
never grow up, right?
Yeah, I'm
always collect.
No, and she's actually doing keto stuff. She got her own Keto My Way Maria on Facebook, and she's got a lot of followers. And she, obviously I don't follow her regimen, but I will try the donut. I'm a taste tester, so she made some donuts the other day. I was gonna bring some in, but she didn't want me to.
What?
So, but
that's it. You're out. You didn't bring.
We'll get you guys.
You have to bring Ace tacos, man.
Yeah,
that's his.
Yeah. No, but keto tacos.
We're in a serious relationship. He is with tacos, so if you got to bring the tacos,
we're gonna bring him with the guacamole shell or whatever, the cauliflower shell or whatever. Anyway, she knows she's a master at making all that stuff, and now she's doing like holiday wreaths type of thing. I mean, she's very creative.
She's awesome. And, give her a hug for me.
Yeah, I will.
And she puts up with you.
She didn't want to bother you. You were there with I think you said you were with Bobby, or sorry, Bobby.
Bobby Welsh.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's awesome.
The owner of Tricky Falls, who brought you two to the Sun Bowl. Yeah, we need to have her on the show.
Having lunch.
I hope we can get her on the show.
Yeah, she hooked me up with Matis Yahoo when he was in town at Tricky Falls. That was one of the last shows.
Oh, that's right.
She told me where he was going to be hanging out, and I met him backstage. Gave Matis Yahoo this one, and I wanted to work with him on
I still have mine.
Yeah, no,
I do.
He's the guy that we had in mind because there's a rabbi in here. So the pitch of SpiralMind is a rabbi and a priest and a superhero walk into a bar, but that doesn't happen until issue 3.
And I still have my. Should have worn mine. The
SpiralMind ring. Yeah, so
we have a picture together where
our Wonder Twin Powers ring activate.
Yeah. That's the only jewelry I have.
So I actually gave one of these to Marky Ramone. I gave one to Richie or JC, not Richie.
I don't wear it because I don't want to lose it, but it's
Who's the other Ramone? CJ Ramone.
I could say I'm in a relationship with SpiralMind.
There you go.
I do have a.
I think he has a relationship with all of us because he controls it. Let me just do a shout out real quick to Rudy Vasquez, another great local artist here.
Oh, that's nice.
And that's before it's colored. But I love the line work on it and artwork. He's heavily involved with EP downtown EP. What is it? EP Texas or
downtown El Paso. Yeah, he's a big deal.
So he did the running of the bulls and all that stuff. So he's involved with all those activities.
So you got another issue coming out, or what's?
Yeah, we actually did a.
What's
crossover.
Coming up next for you?
So we just finished. I do the lettering. Unfortunately, we couldn't find a letter, and that was holding us up in the first issue. So I've learned how to letter these comic books. It takes a long time for me because I'm a perfectionist in that sense. So we have a new issue coming out called SpiralMind versus the Afflicted, and it's another local creator who did a comic book called The Afflicted with a character named Zane. It's like a fallen angel, battle angel type of thing, and it takes place in El Paso. His name's Jacob Marmolejo. We met him at a Comic-Con and became friends and said, "Oh, we got to do a crossover," and so that's done. That's going to get printed out. We have another issue working with this guy named John Reisner who took a story idea we had about SpiralMind going into a land of Amazons and, becoming like in his SpiralMind colors. He's wearing the Greek outfits.
Man, you got so much going on.
So and Benito's been meeting up with artists all over the world, Israel.
Tell him I said hello. He's not bad.
I will. Yeah, we'll get you recorded Hava Nagila together when we're celebrating. So we got something in the works. We can't really talk about it right now, but we've been pitching the SpiralMind script, which is brilliantly written by Jackson Smith, our young intern.
A script, but we can't talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk about the script a little, but we've been shopping it around a while.
Yeah.
And through the Mike Mendez, who had SpiralMind in his movie, through all these people, we're just trying to make connections. And
I love it when you say we can't talk about it. We're
well,
talking about it.
Yeah, just
I'm kidding.
There's this thing that we
Feed us.
There's a thing called the Madalist that we made up that everywhere I get involved with something shuts down or something. The Velvet Rose 101. Hopefully not this podcast network, but Benito beats me up about that all the time. The Madalist again. So that's why I got to be careful. You know what I mean? And actually, we wrote a character called the Madalist. So he infiltrates the mafia and the drug cartels. So we'll get that out later on.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate you coming out. I mean, like, just to know that you were surrounded by music all your life, and let me ask you one more question before we leave. You weren't on the Steve Crosno dance show, were you?
No. I wasn't with La Marana.
You could tell people that. I mean,
I love watching it. I used to watch it though. Don't get me wrong. I used to watch it. And,
but being at Sasso's at 6 years old,
you would think that I'd be on the but I was this close to being in the cages at 101 and stuff, but I never got that far. Oh, let me do one more 101 story. The time where I lost half the crowd, and then don't
tell that story.
I got to tell the story. It's
don't do it, man.
The title of this chapter will be
"You're my SpiralMind hero."
You goth protest. That's the name of this title. So I'm DJing 101 the first time in the old, downtown 101. We kind of knew each other, but it was Jay who got me the job. Jay, the manager, Jay.
Yeah,
and
Jay Desai.
And he didn't ever see me DJ'd in. I don't know why he trusted me to DJ, but I took it.
What was he thinking?
I don't know. I think Caesar talked him up.
I'm kidding.
But I show up and I'm ready. I'm kind of cocky. I'd already done the realm and everything. And it's like, I know what to play. So I had this. It was a college crowd and it was a goth crowd, both on two separate sides of the dance floor. They were all dancing to everything pretty much. I had someone come up and ask me for "Rolling Down Rodeo" by Rage Against the Machine. And she tipped me $20 to play that song. So I'm like, cool, all right, I know where this is going. And so, but I thought I got cocky and I played this Tibetan Freedom Concert Beastie Boys live thing that I thought would go over good, and it was unproven for me. And I even lost the college crowd on that, but I really lost the goth crowd who wanted Marilyn Manson and nothing else.
Oh my God.
I've never seen this before in my life, and I'm sure you haven't either. They laid down on the floor and some were sitting on a little block of wood, kicking their feet. Some were laying on the floor, but they were visibly flipping me off. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I started looking for The Cure, of course. And you come up to the DJ booth really quick and hey, you need to take a bathroom break or something? You doing all right? You need something? And I was like, no, I got it. I got this. And I threw in The Cure. Everyone's dancing happy, both sides. And needless to say, the next week was spring break. Oh, and I think I tried to play Get Jiggy With It. And you're like, oh, we don't play that kind of music here.
That was a big hit.
No, because I used to play it at, what was the other place on Mesa there? Papa's.
Did it work?
Yeah. Well, it didn't work that night, but you said, no, we don't play that. So I was like, man, Joe's going to stifle me. So I better keep it within so the next Friday when I wasn't working, Jay had called me and said, oh, sorry, man, we're going to get someone else for next Friday. That's cool, man. I get it. So I showed up just because I was going to go to, where else am I going to go? I'm going to 101 no matter what. And whoever was DJing, I think it was you, getting jiggy with it with all this spring break crowd coming in from out of town. Man. I was like, mother trucking Joe. So
there was a time where I was just like, because there was Paul and Caesar. So sometimes I fill in, but I do remember that night, because there was college crowd, there was goth crowd.
And there were the regulars. There were 101 regulars. I should have known better.
But I do remember them lying on the floor, which is so bizarre. I had that, I got that experience at the Lost Iguana. I want to keep you, but it was when kids were into the Smiths. And if they didn't hear the Smiths, they would stand out in the parking lot. I'd fuck with them. I'd put on House Tunes now. That'll all run in, and then I'd switch it. I'd fuck you. I'm gonna play. But it was all in fun. But I do remember them laying down. I was like, what man. The?
Yeah, I made up for it though when on the Mesa one when Caesar was teaching me Serato, and he showed me some stuff and he'd let me take over for a little bit toward the end of a Saturday night, and so I saw where his music was. He showed me all that, and then he proceeded to get wasted, and then he's doing shots with everybody. They bring shots up to the DJ booth, and next thing you know, Caesar had gone to the bathroom. I'm holding it down, and then he comes back, and he just lays on the couch, and he like fell asleep. And I kept looking back. I was like, okay. So I had a bunch of ideas of songs. You know, he already had them lined up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I just had to mix them in, and it was like sweating bullets. I was like, I had to redeem myself. So, you know, I think I ended with the Smiths, How Soon Is Now, or Goodbye Horses, which is our favorite one to play at the end of the night. So
Yeah.
I kept the crowd that was there, kept them going. Nobody left. I didn't throw in no.
You didn't have to tell that story, man,
No,
because
I
I've
have
seen
to-
you pack the floor. I've seen you have
I
good.
have to redeem myself for the 101 crowd, because, you know, I don't want people.
That was a rough
leaving
crowd.
This podcast thinking, you know, that I put goth to sleep.
Well, thanks for coming by, and
appreciate
you know,
it.
I'd love to have you again. And
Yeah, we'll have some more updates for you for SpiralMind hopefully by then. And
Yeah.
I've got a ton more 101 stories. And hey, you're doing half the work for me by recording all these people's stories. So all I would do is reach out to the internet.
we can't talk about that.
Oh yeah, we can talk about the book.
No,
No.
we got. I'm going to keep you here, but
No.
he's you're interested in doing a book about 101, which is cool,
Yeah,
you know.
No, definitely.
So it's ready for 2040.
Yeah, it'll be.
I'm kidding. Well, you're so busy. You got a full-time job. You're, you know.
I got to do it before I forget these stories, though. That's the problem.
Yeah. No, I mean,
they're.
I hope you do it, man.
Yeah, we will. And I've recruited a few of other 101 patrons like Krista and Bo and all these other folks who've been part of it, and you, of course. And you know, we'll have a chapter dedicated to Caesar, because he was the heartbeat of 101 for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And he was the music, and he was, you know, I would never known the band Airplane Crashers, and the song White Rabbit coming in my.
I'm sure he's
looked that one up, because I bug Caesar all the time about that every week.
Yeah.
There's no internet back then. I couldn't look it up. So
so we would tell you it's X21. Everything that
the white
we
label
would
was
fuck
X21.
with you and say, yeah, X21, X20. Every song that, because there was other clubs that would come and say, hey, what's that song? We're like, X21.
That's what would make Caesar different, because he would knew I was sincere about the music, and I wasn't trying to do anything. I just wanted to know the song, and I loved the song. And but he can, you know, it's awesome. So, but you know, great memories, great thing. A lot of creativity came out of there. A lot of community came out of there. It still exists.
Yeah.
And you know, you can see when you DJ at the living room, or in all the other places you DJ, people show up. Other DJs that grew up watching you DJ, watching Caesar and Paul.
Yeah.
It's just I'm just glad to be part of it, and I just love, you know, the fact that I was this outsider that was like, screw these guys, they're not cool, and then suddenly I want to be part of you. No, but you know, it's being Club 101er was one of the biggest.
Yeah, well, thanks
things in
for
my life.
sharing all those stories. I don't remember a couch being the DJ booth, but I guess that's where I'm headed. You know.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
no, it wasn't a nice couch at the Mesa location. Yeah, it was like a leather couch, but Caesar was out. He was sleeping. He was.
Oh well, that was okay. Well, the Mesa location.
Yeah.
We got to wrap it up, but that was an old movie theater, so
Yeah,
that was
that's
a
right.
real spacious
I
DJ.
saw Carlito's Way there. one time.
We could tell some stories about that DJ booth, but we want not on this session. But we'll have you back, and we can talk about that.
Definitely, hopefully, and you know,
So I got to get one. I want to get one of these masks.
Yeah,
I want to get one.
we'll get you one.
I think Ace would look good in the. He'd probably do the suit. He could go to the Chihuahua game in the Spiral Man.
I actually built one for my son. My
Yeah,
son's tall enough to wear.
How old is your son?
He's 19 now.
Oh
so
yeah, he'd be a
he's-
perfect Spiral Man. He's
yeah.
tall.
Yeah, he's taller than me, so he can.
I just
he
want to
can
get
pull
the
it off.
mask
So,
for Halloween.
and if you're looking for SpiralMind stuff, we have some at this new store at Sunland Park Mall called Retrofit. It's owned by Frank Powers and his wife Michelle, who
Sunland Park Mall.
yeah, they're big SpiralMind fans and friends of ours. And Frank has played, like I said, he played SpiralMind in Lavalantula and in other things. He does movies.
Oh, thanks for letting
So,
us
yeah, they're
know.
upstairs, and they also own a boba shop. So you get your boba and go check out some. It's like a retro clothing, like a '90s retro. You know, they got jerseys and other kind of Pac-Man shirts. Yeah, check. We're trying to kill bugs here.
Well,
But
cool.
yeah, he's got some of the posters. He's got some T-shirts, SpiralMind T-shirts, and we left some comic books there. So if anybody's, you know, casual wants to go pick up a copy, you know, go for it. And
All
if
right,
you
well,
want to get, sorry, last pitch.
Yeah.
If you want to download
Always be
these
plugging.
comics, always be pitching SpiralMind. If you want to download these comics for free, just go to indieplanet.com and search SpiralMind, and there's a digital download option. it says $0, so you can just pick all 7 issues that are there. And
Nothing like the hard copy, though.
yeah, and you can order the hard copies from there too. So more to come on that.
Well, thanks, my brother. I wish I had my Spiral
Yeah, you
Mind.
need your Spiral Mind.
Would that transport us out of here?
Yeah, take us to the Spiral Mind, which is the event.
Is secret location.
It would end up at Old 101 and back in time.
Well, thank you for coming out, and I want to thank everyone for listening to episode 6 of the Joe Dorgan Show. And you can reach me on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and all that. I will see you next time.